Fall 2018 Nick Ackerman merchandise now available, ranging from long sleeve tees all the way to hoodies and iPhone and Galaxy cases. Check it out, link down below in the description.
So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Is the Apple iPhone XR display that bad? Seems to be what everybody was commenting about in my last iPhone XR video, where I titled it, "It's a winner," because I think for the target customer, this is definitely a winner phone, and display is not that bad to me for the person who's going to be buying this phone. In this video, I aim to discuss what it's all about, and phones I think that will be a downgrade and phones I think that will be an upgrade. Okay, so I want to get specifications out of the way. This is an IPS LCD liquid retina is the marketing term for this, but it's a liquid crystal display with in-plane switching. IPS technology allows it to have pretty decent viewing angles for an LCD on the sides, up and down. Not quite as good as an OLED panel, but we don't expect that. This is a 19:9 aspect ratio panel across a 6.1 inch display. Now this display definitely is not fully 6.1 because you have this notch up here, and you also do have these little status icons and your clock. So this is more like a 5.96 inch display in my personal opinion, but still you have that little cutout up there that does take away just that 0.1 inch in my personal experience. So this display actually has that same wide color P3 color gamut that you've seen on the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. So it's got them super accurate colors that you're not going to find on a lot of other LCD panels. You can see right here, just look at the cats. They're just so sharp right here, so beautiful on the device. Let's go over here and you can take a look at this bike and look at the colors. I mean, really good stuff here. Now, yes, this is not 4K, it's not 2K panel, but still that color accuracy, not bad for this device, and everything looks toned down. It doesn't look too oversaturated or anything like that. It gets it just right. Let's take a look at the elephants and you can see the color. It's just on point for this device. But if you like those zingy poppy colors, you're never gonna like the iPhone XR's display. So this has a similar scratch resistance to a lot of competing phones like the Galaxy S9, for example, and this has an oleophobic coating, so the fingerprints won't start to appear too smudgy or too bad until you've had this phone for quite a while and it wears off. Then you might want to throw a fingerprint resistant screen protector on there. Now I also want to mention that the iPhone XR gives you a 120 Hertz touch sensing display. What that means is that the responsive time that it takes to tap an app and open that application is going to be so much better than before. So any user coming from anything prior to an iPhone 10, you will notice how snappy the touch response feels versus your old iPhone, and that can lend to it feeling like just a more smoother device. And this works very well with the gesture system that's on board with the iPhone XR. So it's a super smooth feeling display, just like the XS and the XS Max. Now I want to address a common question. Can you see this display outdoors? And the answer to that question is yes. You have to turn it up to about 80 to 100, but I can confirm that this is pretty bright, just like any other iPhone before it. I never had an issue seeing displays on iPhones for a long time outside. Yes, the newer OLED panels do seem to do a little bit better job, but this one was not too hard to see outdoors at all. And just a quick note, do not turn on low power mode if you're trying to see this in bright sunlight, as it does dim it just a little bit. Okay, so one area of the display you definitely will notice has much thicker bezels than the iPhone XS and XS Max, as it should. It's a cheaper device. You wouldn't expect it to be the exact same design. You can see right here that the iPhone XR has more of a chin than the iPhone X, XS, or XS Max. You can see it right there. And you definitely see this when you're seeing it on white screens that contrast those bezels. Same with any other color that kind of contrasts that black. When you get into an application that shows black, then it just kind of blends in. You don't even see it anymore. So anytime you're looking at something with black, it will blend in. Anytime you're looking at something with white or any contrasting color, you will see on the iPhone XR much thicker bezels, whereas on the XS, XS Max, it's a much more seamless all screen, higher screen to body ratio design. And if you came from a Galaxy curved display, this will also feel like a little bit thick on the bezels. Also, I noticed the notch looks a little bit bigger than it does on the iPhone XS Max and XS. It's just slightly deeper, it looks like there for the XR. And I wouldn't expect them to get it even better than a XS, because LCD technology is super hard to make this kind of design. That's why you got to give Apple props for even getting an LCD panel in this design, because OLED has flexible nature. It can bend and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier to make the XS Max display than to make this. This is quite a feat to pull this off with LCD. So I want to show you a couple more areas where you'll notice this on the display. You can see the XR right here on a white screen. If you are reading, your eyes might actually see this black bezel a little bit. I think you can get over it, but you will notice it's there. It's not like it's going to be hidden out of your sight. You can see it, pretty chunky side bezels right there when you are reading something. Now, take it into reader mode, and let's go into the black screen. Now that we're in the black screen, it disappears. So I do recommend, if you're trying to have a more seamless reading experience or you don't want it to distract you, those bezels, do try to read stuff in a black, reader mode or something like that. Or, if you got the Kindle application or you got a book application, turn it into the dark mode. It will help out with avoiding seeing those bezels. Although it's not going to bother a lot of people, it's still there. So should mention that. So another area I want to talk about those bezels is when you're watching video, you're going to notice that if you do pinch and zoom, they're actually noticeable again here when watching video. It just seems like the display is squished down, kind of like it's compressed a little bit because of the bezel. So on the XS Max, when you're watching a video, for example, it stretches out further because there's more screen to body ratio. Here, when you're watching in the original view, it looks just fine. But when you pinch in, it just seems like it's smashed down a little bit inside of those bezels, which I actually didn't like about watching video. So I don't think the iPhone XR is the best video watching experience at all. And it does have let's go over here. It does have that notch, so that actually doesn't help it at all either. Now you'll notice that again in photos. When you're looking at photos, if you don't pinch in, you won't notice. But if you zoom it in, then you're gonna see it's a little bit squished down. Now, if you're paying attention to details, this will bug you. If you're not, you're just regular using it, you're not gonna care. So it really comes down to, do you pay attention to this stuff? Okay, so how do the colors look? And I can tell you right now, the main differences you're gonna notice is that the iPhone XS Max shows deeper blacks, a little bit better color when it comes to having more life to the display. And the XR is a really bright, and it's like Apple tried to do everything they could to make this display look great for what you're getting, which is appreciated because I don't think it looks that bad from a normal viewing distance, but it's in details you will notice the difference on the day-to-day. If you put them next to each other in dark lighting, it's night and day. Any person will be able to see this. I think in a retail store under Apple's bright lights, most people aren't going to see this. So I do really recommend you go take a look at these in store before you do purchase one, but even in store it's going to be hard to see. So I would recommend kind of like, making a little shade under the display when you're in those bright lights at the Apple store, and then, look at the shade, put a little shade over the iPhone XS Max and really, squint a little your eyes, you know what I'm saying? Get close and look at the details because you need to look closely to see the differences here. And you could see, let's go into this bike photo, just more sharpness and just a little bit more life to the iPhone XR display. You're not going to see it much in video, like I say, but still there's just more color, more vibrancy, and that's what you expect from OLED. You're paying more for it. But the XR, I have to give it credit for having a really good color calibration. It's really nice, and it's not a horrible display. It's far from horrible, I can tell you that right now. But the XS Max and the XR, it's night and day if you really look at the details. Okay, so that's pretty much what I want to say about the iPhone XR's display, but I want to show you some phones that I think that you will be happy with the upgrade, and then some phones I think you might want to take a closer look before you do pull the trigger. So XR, here we go, the iPhone 5S. If you have a 5S, you're going to really like the iPhone XR's display. Next up, iPhone 6 users. iPhone 6 users, you are in for a treat. Next up is the iPhone 6S. The only thing I would mention about the 6S is if you loved your 3D touch, this one doesn't have it. So you might want to steer clear of the XR if you really care about 3D touch. But the 6S, I think it's a nice upgrade to the display on the XR. It has pretty good haptics, so you might not even miss 3D touch. So the iPhone XR definitely, I think, is better than the 6S display besides 3D touch. Next up is the iPhone SE, and this one's easy because just like the 5S, it's like the same kind of display. So the XR I said was better than the 5S. It's definitely better than the SE. And my last one I think you'll be fine with, but there'll be some things you miss a little bit, is the iPhone 7. Now the iPhone 7 has that same wide color gamut, so the display looks identical basically to the iPhone 7, same brightness it seems like. It just seems like the same exact display, kind of like you had on the iPhone 7, just bigger. Same, pixels per inch though. However, the iPhone 7 had some pretty nice haptics and it also had 3D touch. Now, these are the phones I definitely think you should not go to the XR from. The iPhone 10. So if you even had a thought about maybe your last year iPhone, you maybe want that A12, but you don't want to pay another $1,000, don't do it. The iPhone 10s has a much thinner bezels around the side. It's a better looking design, I feel like, than the iPhone 10R, unless you don't like that dual camera, you like that single look better. It has a thinner notch you can see up at the top right there. It's just a better design to me in the iPhone 10 and a better display. So don't even think about this one. I think you'll be regretting going to the 10R. It'll feel like a cheaper version of your iPhone 10. So next up is the iPhone 6 Plus. Yes, dating back to 2014, I think that this one has a higher resolution at 1080p over the 10R. So you might want to take a look at the 10R before you upgrade your iPhone 6 Plus to this device. And you might want to actually get maybe an 8 Plus or something else if you really appreciate that sharper text, because this one definitely has sharper text than the iPhone 10R. And naturally, the iPhone 6s Plus being basically the same display as the iPhone 6 Plus, definitely I think you should take a second look at the iPhone 10R before you do pull the trigger. This one also, again, just like the smaller 6s, has 3D touch. Next one, you should take a second look. If you have an iPhone 7 Plus, you can see 1080p resolution. Yes, it's a 16:9 panel. You might enjoy that newer looking design, but this one, you can definitely see the sharpness difference and clarity coming to an iPhone 10R. This also has 3D touch on the 7 Plus, so haptics are no benefit here for this device. And quite honestly, I think the 7 Plus, even though it's 16:9, has a little bit of a sharper display that's definitely noticeable. It's not night and day better, but it's definitely noticeable between these two. So if you have a 7 Plus, go look at the 10R before you buy this first. And lastly, for iPhones is the iPhone 8 Plus. This one is pretty close because this one has True Tone. Just like the 10R, it has, 3D touch, so it has that nice haptic feel to the device, and it does give you something the 10R doesn't give you. 1080p resolution, calibrated very similarly as the iPhone 10R. So these two are on the same price point. I will be comparing these closer soon because I know a lot of people are asking about this. You're gonna have to decide for yourself if the 8 Plus is a better display, but I really strongly suggest you go take a look at these two before you pull the trigger. So in conclusion, is the iPhone 10R display that bad? And the simple fact is no, it's not. It's a bit lifeless compared to a lot of the OLED panel counterparts. Yes, small nuances like vibrancy, deep black colors are the thing you're going to notice the difference when comparing a 10R to some of the more vibrant OLED panels on the market here. I think any iPhone user could get by with this display as it has the A12 CPU and all that other good stuff inside. The 3 GB of RAM is enough for this phone. It's definitely still very fast. Having True Tone always helps with the color environment, switching and ambient lighting. But my final recommendation is that if you're currently using any iPhone or Galaxy phone with a 1080p resolution or higher, I strongly advise you to go look at this one in the store, maybe shade it like I said, and see those, look closely at the details and see if this would work for you. But if you have any phone with a 1080p display, make sure you go look at it in person before you pre-order it. If you guys found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, do me a favor, click that like button for me. Did you get a 10R? Are you going to get a 10R? Let us know down below in the comments section. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Any questions, comments, concerns on the 10R? I'm taking them now as many more videos are coming with this device. And I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to be well and peace.